Good morning and Happy New Year. Well, the hallways are humming again here in the Capitol. It's good to have our friends in the legislature back with us. I'm pleased to be joined today by Budget Director Ryan Osmundson, who might be one of the busiest people in the Capitol right now. And thank you all for joining us. 2 years ago yesterday, I took the oath of office here in this room. Serving Montanans, honestly, is the greatest honor of my life. Like then, we have a tremendous opportunity before us today to make Montana an even better place to live, work, and raise a family, and for Montanans to help them achieve the American dream. In my inaugural address, I told Montanans our key focus was then and now remains growing our economy and creating more good-paying Montana jobs while protecting our Montana way of life. Together, we're making this happen. Since January of 2021, we've accomplished quite a bit together. We got our economy going again. We got Montana open for business. And we got Montanans back to work and back into our workforce. We started to unleash the engine of economic growth, business development, and job creation that for too long had suffered. But this hasn't just happened. We came in with a plan, our Montana Comeback Plan, and we've been executing it, and it's working. Together, our Comeback Plan is delivering results that are helping our state reach its full and outstanding potential. Thanks to our pro-business, pro-growth, pro-jobs policies and the hard work of Montanans, our state economy grew at the 7th fastest rate in the country last year. We saw record business creation in both 2021 and 2022, and we have more Montanans working today than ever before in our history. And we've created a more business-friendly climate that has brought innovators and job creators to our state. We delivered one of the largest tax cuts in Montana history, cutting the income tax rate most Montanans and small business owners pay. And we made our rates more competitive with our neighbors in the Rocky Mountain West. We also reformed our tax code to help businesses thrive and create more good-paying jobs. And while we can celebrate what we've accomplished, we can't rest. Montanans are counting on us, all branches of government, to deliver on their priorities, and we need to get it done. For each of the last 2 years, I've visited all of our 56 counties, and we'll do that again this year. And it's a priority for me. Getting out of the Helena bubble and sitting down with Montanans is the only way I know how to do the job for Montanans. Hearing from them directly about their successes and challenges guides me and helps me deliver results for all Montanans. It's also why I was up in the Flathead yesterday, hearing from small business owners about their priorities. Here's what I heard. First, they want relief both for income tax and property tax. They also want regulatory relief. That's why our efforts in red tape relief are so important, and we'll continue to focus on it. One thing that we all agreed on is that hardworking Montanans need tax relief now without delay. And because family is the foundation of our society, we should do everything we can to make Montana families stronger. We can make a difference for a growing family like a family in Anaconda where dad is working while mom stays home to raise the kids. Inflation and rising prices are whittling away at their paycheck. Let's provide them a $1,200 child tax credit to help them raise their kids and pay for food, clothes, and health care. Or a family in Polson where mom and dad both work and their 2 young kids go to daycare. There too, inflation is stretching their hard-earned money thinner and thinner. Let's provide them with a $1,200 child tax credit for each of their young children to help them raise their kids and pay for childcare. We can make a difference also for the farmer in Scobie, barely breaking even as inflation eats away at his bottom line while he also fights the drought. Let's provide him with tax relief further by reforming our business equipment tax. We can make a difference for the retired couple also on a fixed income in the Flathead, who, because they can't afford their rising property taxes, are thinking about selling their home that they raised their kids in. Let's provide them with $2,000 in property tax relief over the next 2 years. Our budget is built for these people, hardworking Montanans who make our state stronger and enrich our communities. Our budget is for the farmers and ranchers, teachers and law enforcement, small business owners, and our seniors, truly for all hardworking Montanans. These are the people that make Montana the last best place. Let's deliver for them. They are counting on us. How do we do this? Well, you know by now our budget cuts Montanans' taxes by over $1 billion, the largest tax cut in the state's history. Ultimately, this isn't the government's money. It's the money of hardworking Montanans who earn it. We're committed to putting money back in Montanans' pockets through permanent, long-term tax relief and rebates. Our budget provides that with $500 million in permanent income tax cuts and $500 million in property tax relief over the next 2 years. As I meet with Montanans in every corner of our state, I hear repeated concerns about rising property taxes. And they're right to be concerned. Property taxes are too high. And while the state receives only a small fraction of property taxes, we believe Montanans should have property tax relief. And we're delivering it with our budget. Our $500 million property tax cut will go straight to property taxpayers, to Montanans for their primary residence. They'll see $2,000 in tax relief directly in 2023 and 2024, $1,000 off their property tax bill each of those 2 years. But we must act together and with the urgency that this issue requires. We also propose $500 million in permanent income tax relief. When we took office 22 months ago, the income tax rate most Montanans paid was 6.9%. And in our first few months, we cut it to 6.5%. With our new budget, we're cutting it to 5.9%. This permanent rate cut will provide relief to most Montana income taxpayers. To support lower income Montanans and to encourage work, our budget also proposes a substantial expansion in the Earned Income Tax Credit. Again, this is specifically for lower income Montanans. With inflation at a high not seen in 40 years, providing Montanans with tax relief is critical. That's why our budget further cuts taxes for Montana families with a permanent child tax credit. The $1,200 per child credit for younger kids will make it easier for parents to pay for what their kids need: childcare, preschool, health care, diapers, food, and clothing. And while our budget helps hardworking Montana parents pay for childcare and other essentials, we must also make it easier for Montanans to open up their loving homes to children that are in the foster care system. That's why our budget provides families with an adoption tax credit of $5,000. Every child deserves a loving home, and we should make it easier for this to happen. Taken together, our income tax cuts, expanded earned income tax credit, child tax credit, and adoption tax credit deliver hardworking Montanans with a historic tax cut, and truly the largest in the state's history. Our proposed tax relief will support small business owners as well as family farmers and ranchers. They are the backbone of our economy. They create jobs and opportunity for Montanans in every corner of the state, and they make our families and communities stronger. But for too long, owning the equipment they need to operate has placed a heavy and unnecessary tax burden on them. That's because Montana currently taxes equipment owned by businesses each and every year that you own the equipment. When we came into office in 2021, we reformed the business equipment tax tripling the business equipment tax exemption to $300,000. With this year's budget, we reform it further, expanding the exemption to $1 million for each and every small business in Montana. Taken together, these two steps, we will remove more than 5,000 small businesses, farms, and ranches off the business equipment tax roll. With those savings, these small business owners, family farmers, and ranchers can invest in their operations and create more good-paying jobs. All of our tax proposals are rooted in a simple philosophy. Hardworking Montanans should keep more of what they earn. We're ready to give Montanans $1 billion in tax relief, and we look forward to working with the legislature to do it. And now it's time to get to work and get her done. With that, I'll open up for questions. I will ask, we have some new people in the room, if you could just give us your name and your affiliation. Who would like to ask the first question? Yes.
Julie Riker, Montana Public Radio. I've heard you say you want to hold the line on state spending. I've heard Director Osmondson say this is a conservative budget. I've also heard some Republicans in the building this week say they think they want to spend a little bit more than what's outlined in your proposed budget. So I'm just wondering how hard a line you want to hold and if you will resist additional spending by the legislature.
Well, I think we're pretty comfortable here. We took care of the essential things. I mean, our philosophy on the budget was first, let's give the money back. So there's $1 billion in savings. Secondly, we need to fix what's broken. We've been kicking the can down the road on Deer Lodge and Warm Springs for too long. That's why those expenditures are a priority. We don't know what the economy is going to do, so the third priority was to save for a rainy day. We've doubled the rainy day fund and the wildfire fund, and then we're proposing to pay off all the state's debts. Those are the priorities. I'm pleased that we have a strong ending fund balance. We've been able to do all this without cutting essential services, and while also giving our state employees a well-deserved raise. In total, the budget grows about half at the rate of inflation. All right, so it's a good conservative budget, but it also takes care of what we need to get taken care of. I think we'll switch. If there's, is there a question online? Not online yet. Okay. Yes.
So I wanted to ask on the fixing what needs to be fixed side of things. One of the discussions has been about Medicaid reimbursement rates. The state that studied it looked particularly at behavioral health and senior care is that these rates are too low. For providers have been complaining about those rates for years. So they're worried about keeping the facilities open at the current rates. Your budget proposes covering some of the gap identified by that study, but not all of it. So can you talk a bit about why you chose not to go all the way?
Yeah, so what we did propose in these Medicaid, and just understand, we've had calls for us to just arbitrarily increase the rates. The governor's office does not have appropriations authority, so we need the partnership with the legislature to get this done. We did propose, particularly for long-term care, which has been a concern, we want to see our seniors age in the location they want to age in, and we need these long-term care facilities. We're proposing in our budget the largest increase in reimbursement rates in the history of the state. In addition, though, what we're finding is more seniors are choosing to age in their homes. So at DPHHS, we've been expanding services to allow people to age in place. So those are the two things we've done. I think we've struck a good balance. In the end, we need the legislature's help to actually approve these reimbursement rates. Okay, next question. Yes, Jonathan.
Jonathan Ian, Montana Television Network. You talked about the importance, as you see it, of getting tax relief out quickly to people in Montana. Is there any benefit that you see to the legislature working to pass something early, or is it a matter of just getting whatever comes out in the final budget at the end of the session? Are you thinking that you want to see them try and move some of these things up to the front of the line?
Well, this is going to be a decision for legislative leadership. We started, as we've done in the past, a very open dialogue with them. I meet with both majority leadership and minority leadership on a weekly basis. We did that earlier this week, and we're very, very clear about our priorities here. I'd like to see all these key bills on my desk as quickly as possible. I think it's important, particularly with the inflation that so many Montana families have seen, that we get this property tax relief out quickly. It's one of the top things I heard up in the Flathead yesterday. And I encourage folks, if they want substantive property tax relief, to reach out to their legislator and ask them to get that relief bill on my desk as soon as possible. Yes?
Governor Tom Goodwin with Lee Newspapers. We've seen the Democrats say that they do like a lot of the things in your proposed budget, but also that they believe it might favor some of the wealthy residents in Montana. Do you have any response to that?
Yeah, I think this budget is really built for all Montanans. The proposal we have to reduce income tax rates makes us more competitive with the whole Rocky Mountain West. We still have some of the highest rates, and it's really a matter of competitiveness. Most Montanans pay this top rate. So you're at this top rate, which is currently 6.5. We're proposing going to 5.9. If you make $19,000, $19,800 a year, that's most Montanans. But in particular for low-income families, we've introduced this expansion. We've really tripled the earned income tax credit. This is an aspect that's done specifically for lower-income Montanans. And if it's okay, I'd ask the budget director just to kind of explain the technicalities of that and how it works.
Certainly. Yeah, thanks, Governor. So the earned income tax credit is based off of the federal earned income tax credit, and it's a percentage basis. So I believe it was last session we did the 3%. We're proposing to move that to a 10%, so over threefold increase in that earned income tax credit that you would receive as a low-income Montanan.
And really the benefit is it encourages work as well, but it's targeted at lower income. Okay, other questions? Yes?
We'll give you another one. So in terms of property tax relief, are you talking about 2 years of tax relief from property taxes? What happens for beyond that in terms of keeping folks from struggling as soon as the current surplus is gone?
Yeah, so it was important that we get property tax relief out right away. That's why we've proposed the $500 million in refunds directly back to Montana residents that own their homes. Longer term, we're looking at a number of reforms to increase transparency as it relates to property taxes, because most of our counties in the state are extremely good stewards of the resources that they receive. Some have let spending get ahead of themselves. So we're in discussions with the legislature about how to make sure that all the counties operate in a fiscally responsible way. And that's really the long-term solution. Yes?
Blair Miller, the Daily Montanan. You talk about the rainy day fund and stabilizing for the future in the concern of a economic downturn. Is there any concern that cutting this much tax is going to chew into that for the future?
Yeah, so there's really two buckets of money. There's the structural money, which is the increase in tax revenue we've seen in the state that we know is going to repeat itself. We've used that for the permanent tax reductions. There's also a bunch of one-time money, mostly federal dollars that have come into the state through federal spending, which I would say is mostly fairly irresponsible, but we get the benefit of it. That's why we've applied this one-time money to one-time issues, like rebuilding Deer Lodge, building out Warm Springs, providing a revolving loan fund for infrastructure so communities can add affordable housing. So again, I have to distinguish between the structural money, which is what we're using to reduce the permanent tax rates, and the one-time money, just like you would as a homeowner. If you got a one-time bonus, you might fix your roof. That's not going to incur long-term negative impacts on expenses, but it does give you a new roof, and that's really how we've looked at it. Yes?
When you brought up the red tape relief task force, and I know the governor's been working on that for a while now, are you able to quantify for us how many rules or laws she's identified that need to be cut, and how much more we have to go with that?
So I could not be more pleased with the work that the Lieutenant Governor has done, going through literally every line of regulation in every agency. I think at this point, we've done the preliminary work. I believe there's over 100 bills that have been introduced that are related to the red tape relief efforts. And so we're looking forward to getting them in front of committees. I'm sure, better is always possible. They'll put their fingerprints on them, and I'm looking forward to having them at my desk. It's sort of like, Shaylee, that we've been remodeling a house for a long time. We've been doing, and We have rooms that have shag carpet, and then somebody put linoleum over it, and then somebody put hardwood floor on top of that. And in certain cases, we're not really changing the rules as much as simplifying the code. As a specific example, I think it's behavioral health. We have 7 different categories of behavioral health professionals, but the descriptions of each one are in 7 different places in the Montana Code. One of the red tape efforts is to bring them all into one chapter so they're much more easy to understand. So a lot of this is just simplification or streamlining, depending on the case. So I would watch those bills. There's been over 100 of these bills introduced so far. Anything else? Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the employee pay plan, excuse me. You know, I think you talked about people struggling out there, that they might see that and think, wow, that's a big raise. I just wonder if you have any thoughts on sort of how that negotiation went and how we got around at where we're at.
I think our workers do their wages. We have great state employees, and I'm pleased that working with the public sector union leadership, we were able to arrive at something that they were happy with and we were happy with that fits in the budget. Anything online? Okay. I think everybody's had a chance. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.